The Josef Fritzl case is one of the most horrifying and disturbing stories of modern times. It's a tale of manipulation, control, and unimaginable cruelty carried out over decades by a man who hid his crimes beneath the guise of an ordinary life. Josef Fritzl, an Austrian man, shocked the world in 2008 when it was discovered that he had kept his daughter, Elisabeth, imprisoned in a basement for 24 years. During that time, she was repeatedly assaulted and bore 7 children, 3 of whom were raised in captivity. This is a story of resilience and survival, but also of systemic failures that allowed the unimaginable to continue for so long. In this episode, we'll explore the details of this case, the man behind the crimes, the discovery of his secret, and the impact of his actions on the victims and society. Josef Fritzl was born on April 9, 1935, in Amstetten, Austria. His early life was unremarkable, marked by a strict upbringing. He became an engineer and married his wife, Rosemary, in 1956. Together, they had 7 children, one of whom was Elisabeth, born in 1966. On the surface, Fritzl appeared to be a typical family man. He was a respected member of the community, known for his disciplined demeanor. However, beneath this facade, Fritzl harbored a dark and controlling personality. In the years leading up to his crimes, there were signs of his predatory nature. In 1967, Fritzl was convicted of a sexual assault. Despite this, he faced little public scrutiny and was able to reintegrate into society. This leniency would later be seen as a critical failure in holding him accountable. By the late 1970s, Fritzl began constructing a hidden basement beneath his family home, a space that would become the center of his monstrous plan. Elisabeth Fritzl's life took a horrific turn on August 28, 1984. At the age of 18, she was lured into the basement by her father under the pretense of helping him install a door. Once inside, Josef incapacitated her and locked her behind the door. For the next 24 years, Elisabeth was kept in a windowless, soundproof dungeon beneath the family home. The basement, initially just a small space, was gradually expanded by Fritzl to include a series of rooms, including a bathroom, kitchen, and sleeping area. During her captivity, Elisabeth was subjected to constant physical and psychological abuse. Fritzl repeatedly assaulted her, forcing her to endure unimaginable suffering. Over the years, she gave birth to 7 children. Fritzl devised a disturbing plan to explain the children's existence. 3 of them were brought upstairs and raised by Fritzl and Rosemary, under the guise that Elisabeth had abandoned them. Fritzl fabricated letters, allegedly from Elisabeth, claiming she had joined a cult and could no longer care for her children. The remaining 3 children were kept in the basement, living in the same confined space as their mother. Josef Fritzl managed to maintain a double life for decades. To the outside world, he appeared as a strict but ordinary man. He kept his crimes hidden from his wife, Rosemary, and the rest of the family, claiming the basement was off-limits. His control extended beyond Elisabeth. Fritzl created a narrative that allowed him to manipulate his community. When the 3 children appeared on his doorstep, he was praised for taking them in and raising them as his own. Meanwhile, his wife remained unaware of the horrors occurring just beneath her feet. Fritzl's meticulous planning and manipulation enabled him to maintain this facade for 24 years. He ensured that Elisabeth and the children in the basement were completely isolated, with no access to the outside world. The space was soundproofed, and Fritzl controlled every aspect of their lives, from their food to their exposure to light. The extent of his deception is difficult to comprehend, but it highlights how a seemingly ordinary individual can hide extraordinary crimes in plain sight. The unraveling of Josef Fritzl's dark secret began in April 2008. One of Elisabeth's children, Kerstin, who was 19 at the time, became gravely ill. Fritzl allowed Kerstin to be taken to the hospital, but her condition raised questions among the medical staff. Doctors were suspicious of the circumstances surrounding Kerstin's condition and Fritzl's vague explanations. They requested to meet Elisabeth, but Fritzl initially resisted. Faced with mounting pressure, he finally brought Elisabeth and the other two basement children to the hospital. When confronted by authorities, Elisabeth revealed the horrifying truth. She recounted her 24 years of imprisonment, the abuse she endured, and the existence of the secret basement. Her testimony was corroborated by the physical evidence in the dungeon. The police raided the Fritzl home, discovering the hidden basement and the horrifying conditions in which Elisabeth and her children had been kept. Josef Fritzl was arrested, and the full extent of his crimes began to emerge. Josef Fritzl's trial began in March 2009. He faced charges of murder, enslavement, rape, incest, and false imprisonment. The murder charge stemmed from the death of one of Elisabeth's infants, who died shortly after birth due to neglect. Fritzl admitted to burning the baby's body in a furnace. During the trial, Fritzl initially denied some of the charges, but later pled guilty after hearing Elisabeth's harrowing testimony. He was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. He remains incarcerated in Austria to this day. For Elisabeth and her children, the road to recovery has been long and difficult. They were placed in a secure, undisclosed location to protect their privacy and begin the process of healing. Psychologists and social workers have worked tirelessly to help them adjust to a life outside captivity. The case also sparked widespread outrage and led to calls for reform in Austria's legal and social systems. It raised critical questions about how such crimes could go undetected for so long, and the responsibilities of authorities to investigate suspicious circumstances. The Josef Fritzl case is a chilling reminder of the capacity for human cruelty and the resilience of the human spirit. It reveals the devastating consequences of unchecked power and control, but it also highlights the strength of survivors in the face of unimaginable adversity. Elisabeth's courage in coming forward and sharing her story has shed light on the importance of vigilance and compassion. Her survival, and that of her children, is a testament to their strength and determination. Thank you for joining me in exploring this harrowing story. If you found this deep dive compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of history's darkest and most important stories.